Good morning, everybody, and this is your DAX day trade setup for today. So Friday was pretty interesting. Not really bouncing off structure, but definitely rejecting this area over here. And that was a previous swing low, as you can see. We had 3 touches there, try to find support there. Didn't really do anything there, and then we've got a double pin bar. We could actually argue that that is a tweezer top at the moment, and we've got a close below. So that gives me sort of an outside chance of a move to the downside. A little bit of divergence, but I don't think we are. No, it's not really divergence because you can see it's ever so slight, but price is high on the left and low on the right. So that there to me would probably be more than likely the top of a range. And I'm going to put it like that. So that would be the top of the range, and the bottom of the range is going to be the low of last week. So we're going to do that. So that's kind of what looks like been happening over the last 3 weeks. We do have the start, and I'm just going to do that, of a potential flat top triangle. That's the trend line that we have. So with those levels in play, let's just drill down and see what we have today. So first things first, last week we did break above the 155, then we came back below the 155 going into close, and we are now in amongst the moving averages with the crossover. That is relatively neutral at the moment. We need to obviously hold above the 155 EMA before I start getting too excited on the 3 hour. And last week was a bit of a mess. I mean, we sort of consolidated, then broke the upside, and there is still a possibility of coming to test the apex of this triangle. So I'm not going to draw the line in. There it is there, along those highs, and then sort of from this swing low through to these two here gives you the triangle. So the apex is going to be somewhere in this area. So that wouldn't surprise me. We have gapped up at the moment. So we've got a weekly gap. Weekly gaps typically get closed. And it will depend. Sometimes in the same week, sometimes the following week. But the price action at the moment is really, really confused, should we say. And we do have a gap to the upside and we've got a gap to the downside. So both these gaps are going to get targeted. So for me at the moment, if you look at the oscillators are grouping to the downside, and we're on the hour. We have broken above the moving averages. So, and the moving averages are kind of flat, but the structure is looking correct. We haven't tested the breakout, so this is the breakout we need to test. So I just want to put 2 levels in here because it is a bit of a zone. Now let's do that. So you can see inside these 2 levels I've drawn, you can see all these tails. So this is the area that I would be interested in. It's 12292 and 12254. Look at the oscillators as well. Now, what may happen is all of that may be null and void, and we will get a move to here, leave the gap open, and look for the top gap. So that's kind of the structure we've got. If we start dropping below this zone I've drawn, that would be below the moving averages, then I would expect us to come back and test the trend line at least. But on the way down, we're going to get held up by this area where we had all the buyers come in last week. And that is 12083 and probably all the way down to 1200. This is probably 11984. So let's just get to the 15 minutes because I mean that's what you're going to have to be looking at, unfortunately, again. So first things first, we do have a little 15-minute gap here, and we've got another one further down there. So strong probability here to come and test this zone, that's for sure. Look at the oscillators at the moment. Got that gap, this gap, and you've got 2 gaps to the downside. So there are a lot of magnets at the moment. It's kind of a difficult one, but anyway. So first things first, 12361, and then this gap, which is at 12339, so 12340. If that little zone holds, then I'd be looking for a long on the structure with a stop below the low of Friday. Okay, so that's the first scenario. If that rejects, then I just want to see what's going to happen here. It's not going to be that big, 50 points. So then I'd be looking at this area. If this zone gives way, then I'd be looking at a short to come and close a bottom gap and find some structure down here at 12083. So this break would be at 12254, and the upper end of this is 12292. So really messy stuff. I don't think, it's not going to be wise just to jump in here. You're going to have to be very patient, and you're going to have to wait for structure. If you don't see structure, and it's going to have to be perfect. So if you're rejecting a level, it's going to have to be rejection like that. You just want tails on their level, and then you want an inside bar like that. Boom, sets up nicely. This one here, you can see that's a pin bar off that level. So this is not the level that you would have been playing. You would have been playing that level. And the same here. You can see how we've dropped below this level. So that level is not so much in play at the moment, but if we do pull back and find support here with an inside bar, engulfing bar, or pin bar, then there's an opportunity to buy. But for as long as we're in and amongst the moving averages like this, I would be very cautious. And I think the first sort of 15 minutes to half hour of this morning is going to be all over the place. Do have some earnings coming out this week, so we could just be treading water waiting for some catalyst. But I'm of the opinion here that we need to be very careful. Could be a decent flag forming, or it could be a double top forming for another visit all the way down here. But as I say, we need to break through this zone before we look at that. So this would be a buying opportunity more than anything else for me. So any pullback onto 122254, I'm looking to buy. And then my target's going to be this upper gap here. But if we break below this level, 122554, then I'd look for the retest of the break, and then I'm looking to sell down to the bottom of this range at 12083. So those are two scenarios that I've got on the cards today, and don't really have a bias for which way it's going to go. So I do believe that there will be some buys down here, but whether it's going to go all the way up to the top or if it's going to just bump its head against one of these levels here, is anybody's guess. But there should be at least 100 points, 120 point trade on the table here on the DAX this morning. Hope it helps, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow morning. Cheers for now.